Welcome to Mishna study Masachet Yoma Perek Mishna Aleph. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to finally discuss the Ketoret in the Kodesh Kodashim. This is one of the main abodot of Yom Kippur, where the Kohen Gadol brings the incense, the Ketoret, in Kodesh Kodashim. And now our Perek is going to start open with this discussion, and then we'll see the other abodot that he does in the Kodesh Kodashim as well. So Hotziu lo et hakaf et hamachta, right? They brought out for him the kaf, right? The ladle and the pan, right, with the coals on there. He would take a scoopful of ketoret and put it into the kaf, right, into the spoon, into the ladle. Right, depending on the size of the Kohen Gadol's hand, that's the amount of ketoret that he would get. It would be a scoopful with his hand. That was the measurement. Right, he would take and in his right hand, with the kaf bismalo, and the ladle in his left hand. He walks in the echal, in the Kodesh, until he reaches the two parochot, right, in between the two parochot. Right, so when he reached, there was two parochot separating between Kodesh, the Kodesh, and the Kodesh. And right, the two parachot, in between these two parachot, right, these two curtains, there would be one amma. Right, so first of all, why were there two parachot and in between them amma? So in the first Bet HaMikdash, there was one parochet. Right, that's how it was. And in the second Bet HaMikdash, there were two because there was a safek. They weren't sure at the time when they were building the second Bet HaMikdash where exactly that Kodesh was, where it ended. So because of the safek, they made that whole space, right, in between, two parachot, right? So there was this, in between space for that compensated for the safek. Now Rabbi Yosef comes and says, right, Rabbi Yosef there was only one parochet, right? There wasn't two. Right? Pasuk says the parochet separated. Ben Kodesh, Kodashim. Right? According to Rabbi Yosef, there was one. Right? Obviously, even according to Hamim, in the first Bet HaMikdash was also one. According to Rabbi Yosef, even the second Bet HaMikdash was only one because they knew there was no safek. Okay, now the Mishnah continues, and Rishona Knufa min hadarom, v'apinimit min hatzafon. Right, so when he walks in, right, the first one was rolled open on the, in the darom, right. Right, so if you're walking into the Mikdash, right, if walking towards Kodesh Kodashim, so on the left side, the first one would be open, and the inner parochet would be open on the other side, right, from on the northern side. He walks until in between the two parochot until he reaches the northern side, right. So now he's open to the Kodesh Kodashim. Now he faces southward, right. Now he walks in between, right, with the parochet. Right, sorry. So he walks into the parochet, right? He walks in between the two parochot, and adshu magia. Now he turns southwards. Now he walks in the Kodesh Kodashim alongside, right? He's on the parochet now on his left, and he's walking towards the middle of Kodesh Kodashim until he reaches the Aron. Now the Aron HaBerit now is in front of him. He reaches the Aron. He takes the pan, he puts it down in between the two poles of the Aron. Right? He piles the Ketoret, right, the incense on top of those coals, right, in the pan. The entire house, the kol Kodesh Kodashim, fills with smoke. He leaves and he goes out, right, in the opposite direction, and he would walk backwards, right? He'd still face the Kodesh Kodashim, and now he just shifts and walks backwards, right, really as a sign of kavod, right, as doing so. Derech Gedulan kavod. By the way, the Kohanim also, when they would leave the avodah, right, and Leviim when they would leave the duchan, and even Israel when they would leave the ma'amad, they would walk the same way, right? They would keep staying face the holy area and just take steps backwards. He would say a short prayer in the Bayit HaChitzon. Right, now this is in the Kodesh, not in the Kodesh Kodashim. In the Kodesh, you would say this short prayer. We'll get to what that prayer was in a second. and he would not make it a long prayer. We'll see it's a pretty short prayer. Not to scare Israel, right? Because we know a lot of times, as we mentioned, the Kohanim Gedolim, in the second Bet HaMikdash, they were not so fit for the job. And there were plenty of times where the Kohanim Gedolim died in the Kodesh Kodashim, right? Because they weren't fit for it. They entered the Kodesh Kodashim and they would die there on the spot on Yom Kippur. And if they weren't fit for the job. So, right, because if they did anything different in Maaseh Ketoret, right, it's Siduki or something, right? So that would, they wouldn't make it out. Right, we mentioned this earlier, right? Right, they need to go in. The Tzedukim would bring the Ketoret, smoking first, right? Whereas the Pirushim, us, we would go ahead and put the Ketoret on the coals only once in the Kodesh Kodashim. Okay, now what's this short tefillah that he would say? So he would say, right? If it's going to be a hot year, let it be full of rain, right? So this is important. This is really the climate, right? The climate is most important. Harambam says this has a lot to do with health, right? The health of a person is really, a lot depends on the climate of what entails, and health always comes first. And then he continues, right? This is basically lo yasu shevet in Bet Yehuda, right? We want justice. We want a good, judicial system, right? The king, the monarchy, the judicial system, everything to run just and fair, right? These are really the two most important things: health, fair, justice system. Right, they won't need parnasa, right? They won't need really to toil so much in their efforts to make to make a living, right? Let it be easy for them, right? So this is more on a personal level, right? So after you speak for the public, then we move on to each individual. And so too, also don't listen to the Ovrei Derachim, right? The Ovrei Derachim are people who are just coming for passing by. The people who are passing by, a lot of times they don't want rain. Even though it's the right thing for the for the territory, for the country, right? The country needs rain, but the person who's coming to vacation only wants the sun all day, right? So we're saying, please, Hashem, don't listen to those people, right? Let the rain come in its appropriate time. So it'll be good for the for the country itself, and that's our Mishnah.